My God, I know that Germany is trying its absolute best to become the authoritarian hellhole of Western Europe, but even I had to read this article at least 3 times before I realized that it's not a fake. I had to fact check it, look for different sources. I'm like, no, this can't be true. Yeah, they are considering to ban the opposition party. I want to point out that even in Russia, even Putin doesn't ban his opposition party or even considers it. Even in Turkey, like, sure, they're going to prosecute and they're going to harass their oppositions. They're going to do anything in order to get their opposition leaders arrested. But they're not going to try to, like, flat out ban the opposition party. Now, what's happening is that if you look at the situation in Eastern Germany, the people who have benefited from the glory and the scientific advances and social advances of the Soviet Union, they are voting for the AFD. And in Germany, there is a law that the party with the most votes, they get the highest minister position. They will never allow this to happen. Like, they are so in love with the power. They are so in love with the seats. They really enjoy the privilege that they have, that they will never give it up at this point. So I have made a video in the past where I went to official sources. Like, I went to actual newspapers. I went through, like public places. I didn't dig, through the undercovers of the internet or conspiracy theories anyway. No, like places that were reported. And I showed people what's happening to the members of the AFD. They had their cars burned down. They had their homes vandalized. Their headquarters had bombs actually going up in them, right? Like, not bomb threats, like actual bombs. One of their leaders was savagely beaten. Like, that is a Guardian article. Like, he had to be hospitalized with a hole in his head. Like, all of these things have happened to the opposition party. And despite all that, it seems that they are rising in the polls. I want to remind people what the AFD is, right? Like, what an extremist means in the language of the German. The AFD was founded from the CDU, the Democrat Party, which is the center right. It's Merkel's party, pretty much. Like, some people weren't happy with the way the country is going, and they said, like, okay, well, we don't want immigrants. That is extremist in Germany. Like, that is beyond the pay. You're not allowed to have that, right? So, like, if you're a citizen of Germany and you have, like, a different alternative, like, you're like, well, maybe, like, we shouldn't have it. No, you're an extremist, a bad man, a bad person, and your leaders shouldn't be allowed into, you shouldn't be represented. This is insanity. I don't even know how to call it, especially after what we saw happened in the pandemic. Like, under the pandemic, under the guise of the moderates, right? You couldn't go to a McDonald's unless you went to the waiter who went Papieren bieten, and you're like, das ist meine Papieren, like bringing back reminiscences from the past. The government could shut down your businesses, fuck you, stay home, stay safe, right? Like, all of that happened during the pandemic by the moderates. I'm really curious, like, what are the extremists going to do? What can be more extreme than that? This is absolutely ridiculous. Like any other country, if they would even attempt at doing this. Like, can you imagine if in the United States they would say, yeah, we're going to ban the Democrats, or we're going to ban the Republicans. Like, it's unthinkable, right? Like no actual democracy would even consider doing such thing. Like, you already have rules. None of these people have broken any rules. If they have broken any rules, you could arrest them, but you're not doing that. You literally want to ban the entire party. That is just, like, beyond the pale. I guess, like, only totalitarian states do that, like North Korea, China. So anyway, Germany is debating. I love the fact that it's even up for debate. It's debating to ban the far-right alternative for Germany as the party surges to 21% in the polls, amid warnings from intelligence officials that the members are becoming increasingly extreme. It doesn't matter. Are they breaking the law? Yes or no? If they're not breaking the law, then shut the fuck up. If they are breaking the law, then arrest them. It's simple. What does this mean, like, it's becoming extreme? This is a subjective term. I would also think, like, massive unopposed immigration is an extreme prospect. Right? Like, just, like, no borders. Like, that is very extreme. Shutting down businesses from law-abiding citizens is extreme. Telling people they can't sit down at a McDonald's unless they have a QR code is extreme. Right? Shut the fuck up. It seems that the word extreme never applies to the left or to the people in power. The people in power are above the extreme. It's only the people who seek power that get the extreme, huh? So Frank-Walter Steinmeier, the German president, warned in a speech to the country's domestic intelligence that we have it in our hands to put those who despise our democracy in their place. So basically, literally, you're against democracy. Like, you have perverted the word democracy. That's how against you are of the word democracy. Like you have a quarter of your people that are saying we want these leaders to represent us, and your answer is to take away the representation of those people in the name of democracy. Like, this is just, I don't even know what to say. Why are these people even allowed in the European Union? They should be kicked out of the EU. Germany should be kicked out of the EU if these are their principles. It should be considered the same like a totalitarian state. Turkey isn't allowed to be in the EU because they're totalitarian. Germany should be kicked out. It's the same thing with what they're saying regarding Hungary. You know, like Germany is always like, oh, Hungary bad, Hungary bad. Dude, look at you. Just look at you. Look what you're doing. Look at what you're doing in your country before you talk about Hungary. So anyway, his speech at the castle where the German post-war constitution was created has widely been seen as support for a ban after the domestic spy chief warned about growing right-wing extremists influencing the party. Again, I don't care about right-wing extremists. I care, like, is it law-abiding or isn't it? If it's law-abiding, I don't fucking care. Like these are subjective terms. Far-right extreme. What does that even mean? How can a far-right extremist be even worse than locking people in their own homes, preventing them from doing their jobs and going to their business? And furthermore, like what happened to the Romanians during the pandemic was horrible. So, like, this was a massive scandal in Romania where Romanian workers were asked to go to Germany. Like, they couldn't work in Romania, by the way. It was blocked. Like, during the pandemic, you couldn't have a job. But you could actually go to Germany. So, like, they took Romanian workers, took them to Germany. They arrived in Germany. They took away their passports, so they can't leave the farm. They couldn't come back to Romania because the planes weren't flying. And they were told that unless they're working for, like, 11 or 12 hours a day, they're not going to get food. Right? So, like, we're talking about extremists and right-wing. What can the right-wingers do that's more extreme than that? I'm genuinely curious. And by the way, like, this didn't even make a blip on the German television networks. It was all over in Romania. Like the Romanian television networks talked about it nonstop. In Germany, not a peep. So anyway, it comes among the warnings that the increased influence, the leader of the AFD in the eastern of Turkey, a former history teacher, is known for the Hitler-esque language, with his allies sweeping the board for European lists, blah, blah, blah. I love, like, okay, so he has Hitler-esque language. Great. Is it illegal? Like, Germany has a lot of laws that are against fascismus. Like, you can't display Nazi paraphernalia. You can't, associate with the Nazi party. So, like, I really think that you're bluffing. I really think that this is you talking shit in order to justify banning a political opposition member. So, in a rare move that respected their Spiegel news magazine, weighed in on the debate, saying ban the enemies of the Constitution. Again, that's ridiculous. And by the way, the people are the ones that get to set the Constitution. Like the people seem to want the AFD to gain a quarter of the votes. So, like, it is democratic. Like, the people at any point can change the Constitution if they so want to, right? Like, if they have the constitutional majority, or like the ruling party did in Germany when the pandemic happened. They didn't change the Constitution, but, like, they gave the health Führer so many prerogatives that he was actually more powerful than when Hitler came into office. But what's interesting, again, like, I find it so, okay, like, these are extremists, right? But the people that say, oh, well, we don't want any more carbon, like, zero carbon emission, isn't that fucking extreme a little bit? Just a little bit, right? So if you can have left-wing extremism, why can't we have a little bit more of the right? I don't understand. I guess it's because the right isn't in power, right? I hope if these people ever gain power, they show no remorse, like, and they behave the exact same way as the people who are in power today, right? Just ban the opposition. Apparently it's allowed, right? Just discuss about banning the Green Party. Why not? I mean, why not, right? Like, this is what they do when they're in power. Why shouldn't you do? Like, this is the game. You're not making the game. You're not making the patch notes. You're playing the meta. If they think it's okay to debate banning the opposition, well, when you're in power, you should also talk about banning the left. You'll be like, okay, well, we need to ban the CDU. They're extremists. They have Hitler-esque speeches, or they have Stalin-esque speeches. You know, like, whatever you want. Pick your poison. It's so disgusting, isn't it? Like, honestly, the fact that they can't lose is absolutely bewildering. And the fact that they're in charge, or at least they have, like, a lot of say in the European Union, which my country is part of, and I have to listen to another nation that has fascistic tendencies of banning political opposition is very disgusting and disturbing. And I wish more Romanians knew about this. This is unacceptable, right? We don't, like, even in Romania, we don't do this shit. Sure, we have corruption. Sure, you know, like every now and then, like a leader of a opposition party finds himself arrested. Okay, you know, like it happens, right? Corrupt countries, okay. We don't ban entire parties. Like, this is ridiculous. The fuck is going on in Germany? I'm really curious. I want to know. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the comment section. I mean, look at this. Friedrich Merz, the leader of the CDU, warned that banning parties have never actually solved political problems. Well, I thank you, Mr. Friedrich Merz. I wish that more Germans would think like you, so I would be less outraged. Absolutely ridiculous. Meanwhile, the German Institute for Human Rights declared last week that the AFD has reached a degree dangerous that they can be banned according to the constitution. Okay, well, the Human Rights Institute for Germany is completely corrupt. Corrupt organization. I don't fucking care about who they are. I don't even know who they are. If you say that you need to ban a political opposition party, that's only what authoritarian governments do. All right? And the fact that you want to ban it now, when it's like 21% in the polls, like you didn't want to ban it up until now. Like up until now it was fine. And you didn't care when their headquarters were bombed. You didn't care when their leaders were attacked and assaulted on the streets. You didn't care when their leaders had their houses broken into, right? Like, no, that's fine. That's what happens in the democratic country. It doesn't happen in our country, by the way. In Romania, I've never heard about that happen. The only time it happened was during the Mineriada, like after the communist regime fell, and there was a period of instability. Yeah, the miners went into the national leader... into the PNL's party headquarters, and they vandalized it, and okay, fine. Like, it happened in the past. But, like, it doesn't happen now, because we're a civilized country. This is outrageous. The fact that more people don't get outraged is bewildering. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.